If there is one driver that has surely made the F1 silly season an interesting one, that has to be Oscar Piastri. When Alpine, the team that has invested so much in him during his F3 and F2 championship winning days, announced that he'll replace Alonso in the Alpine seat, Piastri declined this role because it was likely that he found a place somewhere else. But little did we know that this saga could have turned in a very different direction only if a decision by Red Bull was made differently a couple of years ago. This is why Horner spoke about Oscar Piastri, and what he had to say about the youngster will surely shock you. Want to find out more? Stick around with us. Oscar Piastri will drive for McLaren in the upcoming 2 years in 2023 and 2024, and it's evident that his move made F1 a much more interesting sport to watch. Alpine treated him the way they did, used him as a bargaining chip in order to force Alonso into signing a new deal with Alpine, and then expected Piastri to respect them and to be loyal to them. True, it's difficult to jump into F1 right after your F2 championship winning season, something that Russell did in 2018 in F2 and then in 2019 in F1, but Piastri wouldn't want to wait for another second if that is possible. And it seems like it was possible, but was there a chance that this situation could have turned in a whole another way? Yes, there was. McLaren's future driver used to drive in Ardent Motorsport, a team that was founded by Christian Horner, and at that time Piastri seemed like a very talented driver. He had 3 podiums in the Formula Renault Eurocup, but eventually parted ways with Ardent just to join Race GP for his second season in the series, and that is when Piastri really shined and won the title. After this, he went on to win the F3 and F2 championships, and he was funded by Alpine in all of these voyages, as Horner and Red Bull missed the opportunity to sign Piastri as their driver when they had the chance. For whatever reason, the plan for Piastri to drive an Enstone-based F1 car has fallen apart, and the fact that they've invested so much in him in both intel and money only adds to the narrative that Piastri did leave Alpine out on the dry. We aren't blaming him per se, but it's something that Alpine would have a hard time swallowing. To add salt to the wound, Piastri will drive for Alpine's main nemesis, McLaren, as he is set to replace Daniel Ricciardo next season. According to Christian Horner, if Piastri had been his junior, this never would have happened, as he added, he drove for the Ardent team in Formula 4 and Formula Renault and was obviously a significant talent. There was an opportunity for Red Bull to look at him at the time, and we didn't take up that option, which is something I regret. But what he went on to achieve is phenomenal in Formula 3 and Formula 2. Now, if he'd have been a driver here, there is no way that he wouldn't have been under lock and key for a period in time. As I say, I wasn't at the party. It's difficult to judge what was promised or reneged on or so on, but certainly it was unexpected, probably from several areas, said Horner. Piastri has left such an enormous mark in Alpine, to the extent that the boss of the team, Laurent Rossi, said that the team is considering axing their young driver program, which he believes in the value of the system, but if we're not protected, is it worth it? According to Christian Horner, it is worth it. We're continuing to invest in youth, we've got some great youngsters in the program, all the way from karting and stepping into Formula 4 now upwards. I think it's something Red Bull has done so well, giving these kids a chance, investing in young talent, and giving opportunities they otherwise wouldn't have had. Isaac Hadjar in Formula 3 this year has had a great debut season. I think Ayumu Iwasa in Formula 2 has been a standout driver for me. They're just 2 of the guys on the program. Liam Lawson has had a tough year, but he's again another talent. Dennis Hauger has been a bit underwhelming in Formula 2 after such a dominant year in Formula 3. But again, how much of that is him and how much of it is equipment? Asked Horner. It's evident that Red Bull has a very good school when it comes to spotting talent. After all, they did produce drivers like Vettel, Ricciardo and Verstappen, and the fact that Verstappen didn't even drive an F2 and jumped at 16 years of age in Toro Rosso from F3 is something that says a lot. Vettel went on to win the championship in his second year in Red Bull, as he was the only Toro Rosso driver at that time to win a race in 2008. 12 years later, Pierre Gasly won the same race in Monza with the same team, adding to the narrative that Red Bull does indeed have a great sense for young talent. Imagine what we could have witnessed if Piastri was a part of Red Bull. For example, now they wouldn't have to wait for De Vries or for the FIA to grant Herta his super license in order for him to race in F1, and they could have let Gasly go to Alpine with ease. The replacement in Piastri would have waited aside, and after 2 years in AlphaTauri, a spot in Red Bull would have been opened in 2025, since Perez's contract would have expired back then. The fact that Red Bull only had 2 drivers that were outside of their program, Webber and Perez, says enough about how much this team is investing in its youth. When it comes to Piastri, the backlash from his former team hasn't stopped at once. Laurent Rossi went to the extent of asking Piastri why did he thought he is better than Williams and why does he think he deserves to drive in a top-performing team straight away as his first experience in F1, as he added, "I'm a bit surprised Oscar thought that first. He was better than Williams. I can understand from a sporting perspective, McLaren might be more interesting based on pure on-track results than Williams, but we didn't expect that after so much support, so much loyalty, that he would use the back door to shop around and get what felt like a better contract for them. Those are not the values we exhibited." This is how I see the story. Of course, we made mistakes, otherwise we wouldn't be here talking about the topic. But we feel we stayed very true to our commitment, to our values and to our words to Oscar. But I would say things happen for a reason. We are not sharing the same conceptions of things and perhaps not sharing the same values, so it's perhaps better this way to be parting ways, said Rossi. On top of that, Szafnauer has criticized Piastri for a lack of loyalty and said that the young Australian's move was something that he has never seen before, adding, "He, Oscar, signed a piece of paper as well back in November, and we've done everything on our end of the bargain to prepare him for Formula 1, and his end of the bargain was to either drive for us or take a seat where we would place him for the next 3 years. I just wish Oscar would have remembered what he signed in November and what he signed up to." It's been known that Szafnauer holds huge grudges against Oscar ever since the youngster has been denied the seat, saying that it's something that he has never seen before in his F1 career. When Otmar was asked previously this season about Piastri's move and how does he understand it, he said, "I think it's a question for Piastri because I don't understand it either. In our future, in that 100-race plan we are all working on, I think there is also room for Piastri, and we have supported him. There should be some loyalty to the fact that we have invested literally millions and millions of euros to prepare him. So I don't understand it either. You should ask him. I expected more loyalty from Piastri," said Szafnauer. What do you think about Red Bull missing out on the opportunity of signing Piastri? Now that this opportunity is long gone, do you think that if the situation was different today, Piastri would have fitted perfectly with the Red Bull's program? Let us know in the comments below.